Chapter 9. Dana undressed and slipped into a V-neck nylon and lace nightgown, then lay across her bed deep in thought. Kenny had been dead, and she's alone, for nearly a year. She was a healthy woman in her earliest years of middle age. Surely it was natural for her to start thinking about men. Everything reminded her of sex, even one of her clients, a man notorious for getting on the phone with no idea of what he would say, sounded like he was in the throes of something quite exciting with all those ugh, grunting noises he made while groping for his next words. And just last week, she made a telling error typing orgasm in a patient's lab results when the doctor actually said organism. I don't know how to pronounce that word, so I'm going to highlight it. Slip, if she ever heard one. She felt comfortable with her wish to have a man in her life, but she worried about everyone else's reaction, how Brittany would feel, what her neighbors would say if they saw a strange man coming to her house, and even, and this was really dumb, how Kenny would react if he were alive, like she'd really be considering dating some man if her husband was with her. But he wasn't, of course, and she spent nearly a year trying to support Brittany alone and felt she deserved a little attention. It wasn't like she was looking for some man to worship her, but a little appreciation of her attributes would be nice. She decided she needed to talk it out with someone. Cece was home, of course. Dana had dropped her off when she picked up Brittany, but she was probably busy making sure her brood was prepared for the next day and that they got to bed. Besides from the way Cece had yawned all the way home, she would probably make a beeline for her own bed after taking care of her family. Better to confide in Norrell. Norrell, the drunk one. Dana glanced at her watch. She should probably wait a few more minutes to give Norrell time to get home. From the way Norrell answered the phone, stretching a simple hello in 3 syllables, Dana could tell she had a buzz. "Someone's feeling no pain," she said knowingly. "I just got in." Whew, she made it home, y'all. Norrell said, "It took longer than usual because I stayed at 30 miles an hour all the way, just trying to be cautious. It would have been terribly ironic if Vic had to bail his own wife out of jail." Dana suddenly felt ashamed for not paying closer attention to her friend's condition. Exactly. Sean had implied Norrell might be impaired when they left the restaurant. But she honestly thought Norrell's halting, uneven steps were nothing more than a case of 3-inch heels on tired feet. Her friend didn't drink excessively anymore, not since she married Vic. "Norrell, how many sea breeze did you have?" "Just 3. Well, technically 4. The last one was a double." "Ooh." "Well, the next time we go out to celebrate, I'm driving you home. I had no idea you had that much." "Oh, I'm all right. I won't even have a headache tomorrow. I'm about to go in and jump Vic's bones." A twinge of envy immediately snaked its way through Dana's gut. "Thanks for sharing," she said in a droll tone. "But do you have just a few minutes to give me some advice?" "Sure, what's up?" Dana told Norrell about Sean and his invitation. She needed the encouragement she knew Norrell would give her. "Wait a minute. The guy borrowed Kenny's car?" "Yes, that's how I met him." "And he's still driving it, I presume?" Dana shrugged. "I guess. Doesn't that make you uncomfortable? The thought of riding alongside a strange man in the same car that you rode in alongside your husband?" "Oh, I hadn't thought of that. It'll be a little weird, I guess, but that's no reason not to go out with him. A lot of people drive white Eclipse." "It's not just a white Eclipse, Dana. It's the white Eclipse. The one that used to be parked in your driveway. The one Kenny drove." Dana found herself regretting having made this call. Exactly. I don't think it's that big a deal, Norrell. If that's what you think, but you have to consider Brittany's feelings. She won't see it, Dana said quickly. She'll stay at her friend's house? No, I think this is the weekend Vanessa spends with her father. I'll have to get my neighbor's daughter to babysit. I'll send them to a show or something. How will they get there? Norrell asked. That girl isn't old enough to drive, is she? Dana's shoulders slumped. Norrell was firing off questions like the police grilling a murder suspect, and even though it was getting on her nerves, she knew Norrell had her best interest at heart. And wasn't that why she called in the first place, to get Norrell's take on the situation? She forced herself to listen, but she couldn't help recalling the good old days when Norrell or Cece would be the ones listening to the advice she gave. Even if the babysitter is old enough to drive, Norrell continued, her parents probably won't allow her to drive Brittany anywhere. It's too big a responsibility for a kid her age. If anything should happen while she has Brittany in the car, it'll set the stage for suits and countersuits. Tina is 16, but I suppose you're right. Her duties as babysitter shouldn't involve anything else but staying with Brittany here in the house. She sighed, and since I can't arrange for an off-premises babysitter, I'll have to call Sean and cancel. Wait a minute. Don't be so damn dramatic. Brittany can spend the night here with us. Vic's daughters are coming this weekend. They're a little older than Brittany, but they'll get along fine. It's not like they've never met. Why she didn't say that to begin with? Are you sure, Norrell? What's one more kid around to do my bidding? Peel me a grape and paint my toenails, she giggled. Seriously, though, I think going out with this guy would be good for you, Dana, although I certainly wish he drove a different vehicle. So you said, Dana interrupted. She had to admit she didn't like thinking about Sean driving Kenny's old car. And I'm certainly surprised by this development, Miss I'm not ready to date right now, Norrell concluded. What did Cece say? I didn't mention it to her. I don't think Cece is feeling well these days. She must have yawned 5 times in the 10 minutes it took to get to her house. She's been doing a lot extra work for CDN, just like you and me, but she's got more to do at home than we do, like cooking for 8 people every night. She's probably just tired. Now that the preliminary work is done and we're rolling, she'll be fine. I hope so. Dana didn't believe Norrell's attempt at reassurance. Norrell had never shown much respect for Cece's culinary efforts, saying that all she did was throw a double portion of meat or poultry into 2 casserole dishes, add some vegetables, some liquid, stick it in the oven for an hour, and call it dinner. Norrell, who ate a diet heavy with beef and rich sauces, sardonically likened Cece's well-balanced, low-fat meals to eat in a household where someone had recently suffered a stroke. When Dana praised the paella Cece served last year when she and Michael hosted dinner for them and their spouses, Norrell remained unimpressed, pointing out that this too was essentially a one-dish meal. Norrell simply didn't share her worry about Cece. Okay, Cece, Norrell. The moment Dana's car was out of sight of her home, Cece got behind the wheel of her Windstar and drove to Kmart, the nearest store still open where she could purchase a pregnancy test kit. In her heart, she already knew what the results would be, but having proof would make it real. She returned to a quiet house. The girls were all in bed. The boys, whose middle school classes didn't begin until after 9, quietly watched television in their room, and Michael was engrossed in an episode of CSI, so she had plenty of time to think in the privacy of the master bathroom. It occurred to her that something good might come out of all of this. Michael had resisted getting a large house for so long, but once he learned about the new baby, he'd be forced to take action. Even he would have to concede that a family of 9 could not continue living like this. Not only would she get to have a baby with a man she loved, but she'd get a new house out of it as well. After she got out of the shower and dried herself off, she retrieved the test kit from the vanity cabinet beneath the sink. As she expected, the window of the stick had turned pink. She emerged from the bathroom just as Michael was pulling off his clothes. At 39, he hardly had a movie star body. Cece could definitely pinch more than an inch from his middle, but he looked good to her nonetheless. Knowing that he'd gotten a little flabby made her feel more comfortable about her own weight gain. "You ready to turn in?" he asked. "I have to tell you something first." His eyes widened curiously. "True confession time, huh?" Cece sat cross-legged on the bed, her satiny nightgown covered her legs. "I'm sure you've noticed I've put on some weight lately." "That's no big deal. You don't hear me complaining, do you? You look good to me, Cece." "Thanks. I'm glad you feel that way because if anything, I'll be gaining more weight before I lose any." Michael frowned. "I don't get it. You planning an eating binge or something?" "No, I'm pregnant." "You can't be pregnant. Not after getting your tubes tied." "They don't always take, at least not permanently." "I'm afraid mine didn't." His eyes narrowed. "So you're serious? We're going to have another baby?" "Yes, Michael, it's true. I know 7 kids is a lot. People are going to think we're trying to populate the world." Cece tensed at the sarcasm in his voice. He seemed annoyed at the prospect of another child. She hadn't counted on that reaction. She thought he'd be as happy as she was. Maybe he needed some time to realize what a blessing a new baby was. After all, her own first reaction just a few hours ago had been dread and worry. "Michael," she began, "I know it won't be easy raising so many children, but we do live pretty comfortable. And if it's a girl, she can wear all of Elith's clothes. We should be able to manage just fine. Of course, we'll have to get a larger house." "I was waiting for that," he said coldly. "What you do, Cece?" I'm sorry. "What you do, Cece? Jiggle your tubes loose to force my hand?" "Ooh!" Sassy so. Shocked, she drew in her breath. What a terrible thing to say. Of course I didn't get pregnant deliberately. This was purely an accident of nature, and I don't understand why you're so dead set against getting a bigger house. He could be in debt, girl. "The girls are cramped something terribly. If we had 4 bedrooms, Josie and Monet could share one, and Gabby and Elith could share the other. The baby can stay with Gabby and Elith." "Why not just get a house with 5 bedrooms? That way the baby can have his own damn room." "Just tell me this, Cece. Where's all this money coming from? Have you seen the prices of homes lately? Are you forgetting that we just spent $8,000 so you could go into business? Who knows how long it'll be until you see any returns?" She jerked, startled by his about face regarding CDN. How convenient for him to suddenly forget how sure he'd been that they would recoup their investment within a year. That was before you got pregnant, girl. "Come on, Michael. We should be able to get a good price for this place. It's appreciated well beyond what you paid for it. There should be enough equity in it to make a tidy profit." "Sure, there'll be a profit, but not enough to make up the difference in the mortgage payment over 30 years. God, he was cheap. "So what do we do? Just stay here, all 9 of us?" "See if you can find a place big enough for 150. I won't go higher." Michael laid back and pulled the covers over him, his back to her, making the silent statement that he was through. Ooh. Cece reached for the remote control and snapped off the television, then laid down and punched her pillow. How the hell was she supposed to find a reasonably large 4-bedroom house for less than $150,000? 5 or 10 years ago, she could have, but not now. Michael had set an impossible goal, and he was prepared to stay right here when she couldn't satisfy his wishes. Tears sprang to her eyes. It wasn't fair. All Michael saw was a well-organized home. He didn't realize how hard she had to work to make it so. She'd done her job too well. She had another reason to be upset. His accusations about her pregnancy really stung. She knew that plenty of women deliberately stop birth control thinking a baby could salvage failed marriages and hold onto a man who was about to bolt. But she wasn't one of them. She couldn't help it if she got pregnant so easily. The only baby she actually been happy about initially was her eldest, Josie. After her relationship with Lewis began to deteriorate, she'd been disappointed to learn she was carrying Gabby, and devastated later when she got pregnant with Elif. But she loved them all, just as she loved this new baby. Hold on, y'all. Did I read the wrong chapter? No, I'm just joking. That's the end of that chapter. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. That was the end of chapter 9. And my thoughts are, I was relieved to find out that Norrell made it home safely. And I was right that Dana should have checked on her friend because her friend was drunk. And should she go on a date with Sean? I think she should go on a date with Sean. I think she said he was like 6 years her junior. I can't remember how many years, but I guess years really don't matter. And I agree about the truck. I don't think that she should go on a date. They should meet up. Okay. He shouldn't be picking her up in that truck, just in case her daughter see it. And why didn't Norrell tell her that she'll watch Brittany in the first place instead of giving her all this grief? I guess that's just how friendships work. Okay. Now, to Vic and his response to Cece being pregnant. Now, is it Vic? Yeah, it's Vic, right? Hold on one second. Michael. It's not Vic, it's Michael. His reaction to Cece being pregnant was a shock. I did not think that he would react that way. But he did, and like I said, it was him agreeing to a bigger house was before the pregnancy. Now I don't know what's getting ready to happen. So I don't know if she's going to be fed up and sick of it and take her 3 kids and bounce, and she can do better without them or not. But I guess we shall find out. So that's the end of chapter 9. There was one word, so please hold for the definition video. Okay, and I'm back. And the word is spelled F-R-E-U-D-I-A-N. It is an adjective. It's relating to or influenced by Sigmund Freud and his methods of psychoanalysis, especially with reference to the importance of sexuality in human behavior. And this is how it is pronounced.
Freudian.
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 Oh, because that's his last name. Okay, I get it. Freudian. All right, so I'm going to read the sentence. It's a short one. A Freudian slip, if she ever heard one. That was when she used the word orgasm in the notes instead of organism. Okay, so that's all I have. And I guess I'm going to see you in chapter 10 to see how Michael's going to react and what Norrell is going to do. All right, y'all. See y'all in chapter 10.